Hello, BookTube. As you can tell, I am at the library. The library is closed today, but we have a condenser being replaced for our heat pumps. So I thought I'd take advantage while the workforce is outside doing this to sit down and do a book tag. It's an appropriate day for it. The tag I chose is get to know the sci-fi reader tag, or the SF reader tag, or the skiffy tag reader tag. This is a fun tag, and I was tagged by Steve Donahue, and thank you, Steve. And I've watched Shawn D Standfast, and I've watched Roger-thon, and I've enjoyed all three of them. There's a bit of a controversy over, is it sci-fi, SF, skiffy, which, yeah, that's a little odd, speculative fiction, all that. I won't get into that much. I'm very inconsistent. I understand the arguments. There was a time when I was younger that it mattered more to me than it does now. But I certainly understand that genres aren't just marketing. They're mostly marketing. And so if you have a preference, you can get to that part of the bookstore, right? So if you're looking for a romance novel and you're running into nothing but SF, you know, the bookstore wants to get you to where you want to be. So they're handy, but they blend and bleed. And the more creative the writer is, probably sometimes the harder it is to categorize them. So I'm going to go ahead and go through these. So what is your SF origin story? Well, when I was younger, I read a lot of Alistair MacLean, Hammond Innes, Desmond Bagley, these types of thrillers, action-adventure type suspense and that sort of thing. And my father went to seminary, and I was about 12. And this would have been in the early 1970s. And we lived in a dorm, family dorm, and there was a family downstairs that was moving. They had graduated, and they had a new job they were going to out of state, and I was talking in the hallway with the man, and he saw that I had I think it was Alistair MacLean or Hammond Innes paperback in my pocket, and he realized I was a reader, and he says, well, you know, I've got a whole box of books downstairs. They're really good, good shape, but I just don't have room for them. I can't bring them with me. Do you want them? And I didn't even know what they were. I said, yeah, I'd love to have them. And he brought me down, and I brought up this box, size of maybe what we would now use as a box for like copying paper, maybe a little smaller. And it was loaded with science fiction. I had read H.G. Wells, and so I had an idea, and I was a big fan of Star Trek, but I really hadn't read much science fiction. So I got it upstairs, and I started off with Andre Norton's Starman's Son. I believe that's it. Then Asimov's Lucky Star series, where he goes throughout the solar system and has adventures. There were some of the Heinlein juveniles in there. I think Moon is a Harsh Mistress was one of the early ones. And so all of a sudden started getting a taste for this, right? I think Jack Vance. So yeah, it was quite a discovery. By then I was hooked, and so it was a chance encounter, and somebody giving me some books, and then it went from there. If you could be the hero or heroine in a sci-fi novel, who would be the author, and what's one trope you would insist on in the story, or be in the story? You have to forgive me, I'm probably speaking strangely, because speaking of science fiction, I just got hearing aids from my time at sea and working with in the midst of large engines that were very loud. I can't hear it very well. So these things actually have Bluetooth. I accidentally turned something on my phone and just about knocked my hat off. It was so loud. But anyway, so my voice sounds weird to me. So I'm gonna adapt, and we'll see how it works. So if I could be the hero in a sci-fi novel, who would be the author, and what's the one trope you'd insist be in the story? I'd like it to be an interstellar adventure. I'd love to do that. I'd like to be on a ship, preferably in command, at least at some level, so I could have an active role in making decisions. And I think Lois McMaster Bujold or somebody like that. Yeah, somebody like that would be great. Okay. What is a science fiction you've read this year that you want more people to read? Well, I think I don't want more people to read anything. If you like something, then I'd like to let you know about it. I'm not really an acolyte for any writer. I'm not going to go out there and say they're the one and you have to read this. But I get the point of the question. You're saying, who would you recommend, I think. So for me, I read this recently. I'm not sure how recently. Time flies when you're having fun. This is Alan Steele. This is Avengers of the Moon. It's meant to sort of harken back to the golden age of science fiction and to a character who was part of that. I've also purchased a couple of the smaller, there's the ship, you have the adventures, and yeah, it's great fun. Now, it's not meant to be anything but that, but I like having fun. And, so if you like that sort of thing, a quick read, a fun read, a lot of adventure, and the Captain Future novel. So it's Avengers of the Moon. And like I say, there are a couple of small press volumes we've just picked up here at the library that I'll give a read too. What is your favorite SF subgenre? What subgenre do you not read much from? I don't read a whole lot of steampunk, but what I've read I've liked. Lavi Tidhar, I believe his name is. He wrote one of the Bookman. I read the first one in that trilogy. I really liked it. So yeah, I don't read a lot of steampunk, but I do enjoy. I've enjoyed what I've read. And what's your favorite? Oh, I have so many. I like books like Dune. I like Jack Vance, Dragon Masters. I like Lois McMaster Bujold. I love the, oh boy, I'm trying to think. I like a lot of the military type science fiction. I like Foundation. So I like older stuff, and I like the newer stuff I've gotten into. I'm going to be tackling, in fact we have it right here, the James S.A. Corey Expanse. I've loved the television series, and so yeah, I'd say that would be my next big project for that sort of thing. I like space opera type stuff mixed with now what we call military science fiction. So it's, yeah, there's a lot of them. Who is one of your auto-buy science fiction authors? I don't have one. Like I say, I was an Arthur C. Clarke, Asimov, Heinlein type of person when I was younger. Really into my 20s, got into Frank Herbert stuff. Shawn D. Standfast mentioned pastoral science fiction, not really a big fan. I like Robert Silverberg, so these are a lot of old things. But science fiction has had some wonderful newer authors, and some I know and some I need to catch up with. So upcoming, it's going to sound odd, but like this month I finally get back and got fantasy and science fiction and analog, two digest magazines, and I want to pick up some Asimovs to start catching up with some of the newer writers. And I would say that my big thing I'm looking forward to is they have a program where you can buy a random set of like 16 recent issues. It's real cheap. And you can find it on their website, any one of the Analog or Asimov's website. And so I sent off for those. So I'm going to catch up with some of these newer authors, and I'm excited to see what they're doing. If I had an auto buy, it'd probably be Kim Stanley Robinson. I loved his Mars series, Red Mars, Green Mars, and Blue Mars. And I like that kind of world building, but not so far out there sometimes too. So it's yeah, he would be, even though I haven't read everything he's done. What is one misconception about SF you'd like to rate a rest? I don't know if there are a lot of misconceptions. You know, maybe there's not wide enough range of understanding of the field. So you say, well, it's like this. Well, yeah, there's probably books that are like this. Or it's great and it's this. Well, there's some great ones, but it's like everything else. It's Sturgeon's Law. You can look that up, Theodore Sturgeon. Let's see here. If someone had never read a SF before and asked you to recommend the first 3 books that come to mind as places to start, what would your recommendations be? I don't know if I'd do it that way. And being a librarian, it would mean I'm probably not following what I would do here. If somebody comes in here and says they want a thriller, I start digging down, and you learn how to have those conversations. But if there was a strategy I'd use with science fiction, it would be the short story. So I grew up with the digest magazines, had walls of them, and some of those are around still, and some of them are not. And it's a collection I wish I still had, though they do tend to get damaged. I would go with short stories. And I tell them to read widely and start narrowing down on authors and subgenres maybe that they like. And I do that a couple ways. One here that's a little more up to date is the Big Book of Science Fiction. It's one of these Vandermeer, Anna Jeff Vandermeer collections. We've got their 2 volumes on fantasy. We've got a lot of their stuff because it does just that. So I think they did a steampunk volume. Yeah, they did, and Steampunk 2 Reloaded. They've done all sorts of wonderful collections. So in this, you'd have H.G. Wells. I'm just going to go. I mean, here, I'm going to show you the contents. There. You can always just stop motion your camera, right? There. And there's tons of treasures in here, but there's a lot of new stuff, and the choices are different than the anthologies I would have read when I was younger. And it gives you an overview of the history of the genre, but it also gives you a lot of good new stuff. So, or for me, the volumes that did that were Science Fiction Hall of Fame. The first one was edited by Robert Silverberg, or Dangerous Visions, and then there was again Dangerous Visions by Harlan Ellison, edited by Harlan Ellison. So there's been anthologies have always been a big part of the field, and I think you can get a feeling for who you might like that way. I discovered Cordwainer Smith that way, Poole Anderson. So a lot of these writers that I actually think I found Ursula Le Guin I found through Earthsea. But so that it's not the only way, but it might be a way to get somebody to narrow down what their choices are. So let's see. Number 10, who is the most recent SF or sci-fi or skiffy reading content creator you came across you'd like to shout out? I'd actually say, and I have watched some of his stuff. because I just went through my move and when I found the channel, and I have not watched everything, but really enjoyed the Roger-thon. I like how he sits down and he's just talking to you. And he seems to have a real love for science fiction, but also fantasy and some other stuff. So I would recommend that channel. Give it a shot. And if anybody wants to do the tag, I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody has to say. And I hope you didn't mind the voice. I mean, it may sound different to me with these things in, but we'll see how this goes. So thank you, BookTube.